What's up, everybody? This is the Sports League Podcast, back for another week. I'm your host, Alex League. We got Amanda back on the show as always. Amanda, playoff preview time. Are you ready?
Of course, but quick shout out, go blue. Natty, Michigan versus everybody. Michigan beat everybody. Had to do a quick shout out to my boys. But yeah, I'm ready to switch back to the NFL and see some more great football this weekend.
And we had to go video for this one with the playoff preview so Amanda could, support her Michigan team, and I can support the last time my Bears had a decent offense. So with my Brandon Marshall jersey.
Man.
Been that long. We were supposed to have Pablo on, but Pablo not going to make it on this one, but he should be on, for the rest of the playoffs, and we'll do video for those. But don't forget to check out Bernard Berrian interview we did today. That one went really well. A playoff preview with him.
I mean,
And
speaking of Bears having a good offense, I mean, that was their last Super Bowl appearance against the Colts. So I mean, that's a great interview, Alex. You killed it on that one. You guys covered a lot of topics. So that's
yeah,
definitely one you guys need to tune into and check out.
yeah, appreciate that. And it was fun talking with him about, Rex Grossman throwing him the ball and actually being successful on offense. And not a lot of people remember that. So pretty cool throwback talking with him. But Amanda, it's kind of an end of an era right now in football with Bill Belichick no longer going to be the Patriots head coach after 24 years, six championships, nine Super Bowl appearances. Pete Carroll will no longer be the Seahawks head coach for your Seahawks. And then Nick Saban will no longer be the head coach of Alabama after six championships. So the changing of an era really right now.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, we had like the last guard of that team, like crew of like all-time great quarterbacks kind of like taper off. I mean, Rodgers is still kind of hanging in there and lingering a bit, but I mean, Breeze, Brady, Big Ben,
Yeah,
like
Peyton.
so
Yeah.
I mean it makes sense that this is all happening now, but man, talk about some dynasties coming to an end. Like those big names. I saw a meme or a statement or something online that like Saban and Pete Carroll were like that old married couple that like one of them goes right after the other after being married for, 60 plus years. And that's kind of what it felt like. I mean, they've been active coaches for so long. Like it's hard to just picture like what the leagues are going to be like without them now.
Well, like for our entire lifetime, pretty much. I
Mhm.
mean, as a little kid, I can remember, Bill Belichick, coaching, and you can remember Pete Carroll at USC, right, winning
Yeah.
those national championships, and it's crazy. It makes you feel old, what
Yeah.
it does. But you can remember going all the way back to the early '90s when Bill Belichick and Nick Saban were on the same team, coaching the Cleveland Browns. And to transition into our playoffs preview, I'm so excited for these playoffs, and we're going to talk Cleveland Browns, who haven't been very successful over the years, but they're good this year. And because they're number one defense in the entire league, and 38-year-old Joe Flacco, and they're going into Houston to take on the most surprising team of the season, rookie head coach DeMeco Ryans, rookie quarterback C.J. Stroud, and the Houston Texans. You got to be excited for this one, huh?
Yeah, and it's interesting too because I feel like this game is only happening because of the Deshaun Watson trade. I mean, this is Deshaun Watson's old team versus his new team, and the picks that the Browns gave to the Texans are kind of what set this Texans team up to rebuild as much as they have. Mind you, Deshaun Watson isn't playing in this one, and Joe Flacco's been in since, coming off his mom's couch, and he's had a great comeback, but it's interesting how that storyline kind of set up this game because the Texans have taken advantage of that young talent they were able to bring in. And I mean, they're having a great team with the amount of young talent that they've pulled together.
Yeah, and they're very competitive on both sides of the ball. Defense, trading up for Will Anderson Jr., taking Jonathan Grenard or Derek Stingley at LSU. So a lot of talent, and they're going to be a threat. I mean, I truly truly think this is a toss-up game. Like, Joe Flacco is 10-5 in his career in the playoffs, but hasn't started a playoff game since 2014. And he was pretty good, really good, 300 plus yards in his last 4 games passing. But the magnifying glass is going to be on him, the spotlight for this playoff game against a pretty good Texans defense. So, and they kicked the Texans' ass a couple weeks ago. So does Houston use that for motivation and adjust, right? And play better this time around?
Well, it's interesting in that game. I mean, it was a 36-22 victory for the Browns, but CJ Stroud didn't play in that game. Mind you, he doesn't play defense. So I don't know if him playing would have stopped the Browns from putting up 36 points. And I mean, Flacco has only kind of improved and clicked better with that team since it's happened. So, I mean, they're going to definitely need that defense to step up, because you can't have the Browns put up 40 and still expect to win that one. But that Texans secondary, I mean, they've surrendered the 10th most passing yards in the NFL this year. So if
Yeah.
Flacco comes in hot and firing on all cylinders, it's gonna be a challenge for that defense.
And Amari Cooper broke the franchise record in that game, 265 receiving yards. So that's going to be the key. The focus, I think, is going to be on Amari Cooper. Limit him and deal with the rest. And if David Njoku goes for 200 plus yards, then so be it. But you can't let Amari Cooper do that again. But it's going to be really interesting. And CJ Stroud up against the #1 defense is a huge prove-it game for him. He's been a top-5 quarterback in the NFL damn near this year. Hasn't played like a rookie. He's answered every challenge thrown his way. And now the playoffs are here, and it's prove-it time. And if you struggle against, the Browns and the #1 defense, people are going to be like, well, it's expected, from a rookie quarterback. But if he can somehow lead the Texans to a playoff win here, that's going to continue to turn a lot of heads. And but I'm rooting for the Browns, and I think the Browns are going to win. I think they're the more talented team. Do you?
I do. And I mean, it's amazing that CJ Stroud has been able to make it as far with this team as he has. I mean, but over the past 10 years, rookie quarterbacks are 1-5 when making their first career playoff start. The only one is coming from Brock Purdy. And that was in a game where his team was favored by 10 points. And people have talked on and on about how Brock Purdy is kind of plugged into that system, and he could be swapped out with a number of different quarterbacks, and still that team would be just as successful as they are. So that kind of shows you that, like, yeah, he was a rookie quarterback, but it might not have all been on his shoulders. And CJ Stroud really carries that Texans team when he needs to. But I mean, rookie quarterbacks don't have the best success in the postseason in the NFL. I mean, over the course of NFL history, they've completed just 55% of their passes in the playoffs, averaging 189 passing yards per game. I mean, they've thrown 42 interceptions to 33 touchdowns over the course of history. So a lot of that comes down to the pressure that these rookie quarterbacks feel in their first playoff appearances. But CJ Stroud doesn't appear to feel the pressure like most rookie quarterbacks do. We've seen him keep his cool in a lot of matchups where other rookies would feel the pressure and start making mistakes. But he's cool as a cucumber. So I think he'll fare better than most rookie quarterbacks have. But I mean, he is still a rookie. The team is young. And I'm going to side with experience here. I mean, the postseason is nothing new to Flacco.
Yeah, everything that we've been taught growing up watching football forever is that experience wins and defense wins, and rookie quarterbacks struggle in the playoffs. And so all signs are pointing to Cleveland. But CJ Stroud, you said it best. He isn't a typical rookie. And one of the most eye-opening things on CJ Stroud and why I liked him in the draft and coming into the league was what he did against Georgia in the playoffs in college. And so, I think CJ Stroud is going to play well, but I think Joe Flacco does just enough and the defense does just enough for the Browns to win a close, hard-fought game. Flacco needs to protect the football, though. When he went on that Super Bowl run, it was 11 touchdowns, no interceptions. And he's had a few interceptions so far this year. So he needs to protect the football and not give CJ Stroud extra possessions.
Yeah, I mean, granted, Flacco's only been around for the past 5 weeks, but The Browns have given
Mhm.
up the football in NFL high 37 times. So,
Yeah.
it's going to come down to a lot of different things. But I mean, Myles Garrett on that defense, it'll be a great matchup between him and Texans left tackle Laramie Tunsil. I mean, they're two of, the top in the league at their positions. So it'll be great to see kind of like how they match up and who wins that matchup for them.
Mhm.
But I mean, as you mentioned, that's the number one defense right there for the Browns. But that Browns team fares very differently away from home. And they're on the road here in Houston. But they've given up the most points in the NFL on the road this season, averaging 29.6 points per game that they've given up on the road.
Wow. That's an interesting stat for sure. And another thing to keep an eye on with Cleveland is Dustin Hopkins, unlikely to play, the Browns kicker. So Riley Patterson will fill in. But Riley Patterson hasn't been bad. He's 16 of 18 field goals, 41 of 44 extra points. So he's capable. But if it comes down to a big kick in the fourth quarter, all eyes are going to be on him too. So interesting matchup. I'm going Browns by 4.
Yeah, I was thinking less than a touchdown, probably, 3 to 5 range. So we very much agree on this one. I'm
Yeah,
just hoping for like close, scrappy games.
yeah, yeah. No blowouts and just hard fought. And I just can't wait. That's a great game to kick off the wild card and the playoffs this year. How about Dolphins Chiefs in Arrowhead? This is supposed to be cold, single digits, maybe even close to 0. Saturday night. I can't wait for that one either.
Yeah, the last time I checked the forecast, the high was 0.
Damn.
So man, I saw that ticket prices drop to like the $50 range because nobody wants to go to that game.
Man,
Um,
sign me up. Give me a ticket for that. I'll go to Arrowhead right now.
Kansas City, I'm gonna look up what the temperature is right now. I'm curious what they're forecasted. Uh,
Bundle up, eat
a
some
high of
edibles,
3, a high of 3, a low of -6.
drink a lot of beer. Tyreek Hill going up against his former team, coming to Arrowhead. And to me, the big storyline here is the missed opportunity for the Dolphins, who were 11-4, likely, in conversation for the 1 seed in the AFC and a bye and home field in Miami during the playoffs when it's cold everywhere else. And now you get tripped up, you lose that game to Buffalo, and now you're going to Arrowhead to play the defending champs in single digit temperature. And the Dolphins aren't exactly proven or known to play well in the cold either. Tua, that running game, the speed offense, so all signs are pointing to Kansas City in my opinion. And the Chiefs have had their struggles too, so I don't think they run away with it, but they might. I mean, I don't trust Miami here at all, do you?
No, I mean, since the start of 2017, the Dolphins are 0-10 when the temperature is below 40 degrees. So
Yeah.
this week, that's 40 degrees. That's not like a high of 3. Um, and over the course of his career, Tua has had major issues in cold weather too. He's 0-4 under 45 degrees. Like, we're not even talking below freezing in those games. And he has shown he cannot play when it's cold out. So, we've kind of seen how he does in the cold. Like he likes that Miami weather. He plays well there. He plays good in a dome. But I mean, these two teams matched up back in week 9. So Patrick Mahomes pulled off the win there, but he threw for under 200 yards in that game.
Yeah.
And that Miami defense has stepped up occasionally. And that was, I think, the best example of um the Chiefs defense showing up and shutting down a competitive quarterback. I mean, Tua was just at 193 yards in that game, and their run game couldn't get off the ground either. So, if the Dolphins want to have a shot in this one, Tua is going to have to be absolutely perfect, which we are going to assume he's not going to be because the weather is cold. And I mean, I don't think that the Dolphins are going to be in their element. And there's no way for them to practice playing in the cold in Miami unless they've been, at an ice rink or something. I don't think there's a way to imitate how cold it's going to be for them. And I just don't think they're going to be prepared.
Yeah. And I agree. I just don't see, like, the Chiefs have not been perfect this year. They're not the
No.
same old Chiefs. They're beatable this year. But at home with a loud crowd behind them, with Tyreek Hill coming in, and Tyreek Hill's kind of been talking some shit for a while now about Mahomes in Kansas City. So I think the Chiefs are going to be fired up. L'Jarius Sneed versus Tyreek Hill, that's going to be a fun matchup.
I love that matchup.
But the Dolphins are also injury hit. Jalen Waddle and Raheem Mostert both expected to play, but not 100%. Xavier Howard is out. He's not playing. We know Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips, they're out this season. So even if the Dolphins were 100% healthy, I still give the edge to Kansas City, being that they're banged up. Also, the coaching matchup, right? I'm going to pick Andy Reid against Mike McDaniel 99 out of 99 times. I was going to say out of 100, but I'm going to go 100% there. I'm not picking – I don't trust Mike McDaniel in this matchup. It's a prove-it game for Miami, but I just think I think honestly this game, if you remember about that Germany game, the Chiefs jumped out to a 21-0 lead, and the Dolphins came back into it to make it 21-14. The Chiefs could run away with this one. I really think they could.
The Chiefs need to watch their turnovers though. They're 28th in turnover differential. It's the worst in Andy Reid's time in Kansas City.
Drop and turnover. Yeah.
Yeah. They need to hold on to the ball. And I'm with you on this one. I think the Chiefs will pull it off. I don't have a lot of faith in the Chiefs moving past this game deeper into the playoffs. But I mean, with all the issues they've had, the Dolphins are just so beat up. I mean, their top 4 edge rushers are hurt. You named, their offensive players who are out. Like Tyreek Hill was targeted 13 times last week. No more than 3 targets for any other receiver. They just have Tyreek Hill on offense at this point. Tua and Tyreek. That's pretty much it. And they're 1-5 against winning teams this season. So I can't see the Dolphins pulling this one off.
Yeah, it's a matchup league, right? And especially come playoff time. And the Chiefs are the proven winners. Mahomes in the playoffs, we know about him. He's 11-3 in his career in the playoffs with 35 touchdowns and just 7 interceptions. So he could throw a pick, or have a fumble lost or whatever. But Tua doesn't. I don't have any confidence in Tua either. He had 2 bad interceptions against Buffalo at home. So all signs are pointing to Kansas City. Give me the Chiefs. I'm leaning double digits here.
Yeah, that Buffalo game was rough for Tua. I mean, he ended the game predictably the same way he started it. A key play turnover and throwing up there.
Yeah.
So yeah, whatever faith I would have had in Tua so far this season is long gone.
Yeah, and he's got an opportunity. This is his first career playoff start. So he's got an opportunity to silence the haters. And you go into Arrowhead and steal a win against Mahomes, then that'll shut everybody up. But we got to see it to believe it. So give me the Chiefs at home here. Me and you agree on both of these games so far. We both got the Browns. We both got the Chiefs on Saturday.
This was kind of something I worried about. We talked about restarting our picks against each other for the postseason, but we both kind of know our stuff. And I feel like at this point, we're kind of going to be picking similarly.
We'll disagree on some. Trust me. I'll make some picks that are going to go against the grain. So you'll have your opportunity, but I got to steal the playoffs from you. You won the regular season too easily. I got to steal the playoffs from you.
I mean, 11 games doesn't sound bad. I don't know if there's enough games in the postseason for you to pull off a win, though. We'll see.
Well, that's why we're gonna make these games double the points. That's how I'm gonna come back.
All right, fair enough. So let's talk about some of those teams we've been picking and following. So, I mean, the number of storylines this weekend is crazy. There's so many underground stories and connections and stuff. So this one, Bills coach Sean McDermott and Steelers coach Mike Tomlin. Strong connection. They played football together at William and Mary. So their careers have, crossed over each other multiple times. And in this situation, we added that extra playoff team in 2020. And since then, when the number 7 seed matches up with the number 2 seed, the number 7 seeds are 0-6. They've been outscored 196 to 123. So predictably, like you could kind of see how this one would go. Um, and you know, if you're following along with that, um, you know, they've lost by over 12 points in those games on average. And with the Steelers missing TJ Watt, who is, you know,
Yeah.
he's their defense. Like obviously they have other talented players, but he is the MVP of that Steelers defense. Um, during the 11 games in his career that he has missed, the Steelers are 1-10.
Yeah,
So
not a
that's
good.
big loss.
Yeah. And the Steelers are coming in on a 3-game winning streak, but they had TJ Watt for all those games, and Mason Rudolph is the quarterback. But the eye test here says Buffalo all the way, and I agree. Like in this matchup, Bills are coming in hot on a 5-game winning streak. They haven't been playing perfect football, but they're playing well enough that they should win this one. And even if TJ Watt was playing, I'm still taking Buffalo here.
Yeah.
Um,
It's hard to root against Buffalo in this one. I
yeah,
mean, they have thrown some bad turnovers. I mean, I talked about how we got the Josh Allen special last week with, you know, a couple really bad throws and some beautiful, perfect passer
yeah.
rating inning. Like we
It's
get a
similar
little,
to Brett Favre.
yeah, which is
Yeah.
why I like him so much, you know? But if they can eliminate the turnovers, I mean, they have ball protection issues with running back James Cook as well, not just Josh Allen. Um, but you know, fumbles, drops, let's clean that up. And I'm sure that's what they've been focusing on in the week off, like since their last game. But you know, we do have some injuries on that Bills team, which I'm a little worried about. Gabriel Douglas has a knee injury. Linebacker Tyrell Dodson has a shoulder issue. Rasul Douglas with the knee. Um, so they're a little banged up, but it's really hard to pick Mason Rudolph. I mean, we've seen backup quarterbacks come in this season and have 3 good games, max. That's it. So I feel like
Mhm.
Mason Rudolph's, you know, kind of luck has run out at this point. He's had his 3 good games, he's had his wins. And I just I've been rooting for the Bills for a while now. This year they feel special.
Yeah.
We've seen them pull off some very strong, resounding wins this season, and I cannot pick the Steelers over them.
No, the eye test, everything. I mean, like I said, the Bills haven't been playing perfect football, but they're playing well enough to get this win. They're coming in hot on a 5-game winning streak. And I love the way the Bills are built this year. They're built to go on a deep playoff run, more so than in years past, in my opinion. The addition of Leonard Fournette, I love. You know, we saw how valuable he was in Tampa Bay as a pass catching running back, as a short yardage running back, goal line, situational. He's huge. And I love the young core too. I mean, James Cook stepping up. Dalton Kincaid has been, if not for Sam Laporta, Dalton Kincaid would be all the talk at that tight end position. And then Khalil Shakir, who we talked about in our preseason, talking about the Bills with Andre Reed. Khalil Shakir is stepping up, and he had a big playoffs last year. I expect that to continue. It if Gabe Davis is limited, Khalil Shakir is the guy to step in there alongside Stephon Diggs. So Rasul Douglas is saying he's going to tough it out and play through the injury. So that's
Yeah.
the good news there. Yeah,
I figured he would. He's that kind of guy.
yeah,
Um,
and he's huge.
yeah. I was pretty bummed when Green Bay let him go, but I'm glad he's being used as well as he is on the Bills. It sucks
Yeah.
when one of your favorite players on your team leaves and goes somewhere else and then just fades into the woodwork and their talent's just wasted. So I'm glad
Mhm.
he's being utilized properly.
Yeah, I mean, I picked the Chiefs by double digits. Give me the Bills by double digits here. I think the Bills win this one comfortably.
Yeah, I feel like this is going to be about a 10-point game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
All right, we're 3 for 3, guys. This is
yeah, but it's coming. We got 3 games left, and I think we're going to disagree on at least 2 of these. And
okay.
you talked about the 7 seeds and what they're winless, right?
Mm-hmm. 0 and
And the
6.
games haven't been that close. All signs pointing against your beloved Packers here in Dallas, and we know how good the Cowboys are at home.
Yeah, 16 games straight they've won at home. 8-0 so far this year. And these aren't even close games. It's not like they're winning by 1 or 2 points. I mean, over their 8 wins this season, it's an average of 21.5 points per game. So, I mean, all signs would point to the Cowboys winning this one easily. I mean, they're playing a beat up team who has been cycling through wide receivers, the youngest team in NFL history besides the 2017 Browns,
Who went
who
winless?
0-16.
Yeah.
So Green Bay is just doing some amazing things right now. I don't think anyone really had any postseason expectations this season. We were just kind of transitioning from Aaron Rodgers to whatever comes next. And Jordan Love might actually be the guy. I mean, some of his numbers this season are insane. This is the first time in NFL history we've seen the league passing touchdown leaders match up in the first round of the playoffs. So we've got Dak Prescott with 36 touchdowns and Jordan Love with 32. I mean, that's a great matchup, and I'm really excited to see this one. I would love to hear how you think this one's going to turn out, though, because we know the last time these two teams matched up in the postseason, Dez didn't catch it, and it was a whole thing. And
Dez caught it. We all know Dez caught it.
Dez caught it, fumbled in the end zone for a touchdown, but Green Bay still would have come back.
Yeah, and according to the rules at that time, it was incomplete. But
I even thought Dez caught it, but Green Bay was so hot in that game, there was no way we wouldn't have come back and pulled off the win anyway.
Yeah, when it happened, I said that's a catch, but they're gonna rule it incomplete according to the rules. And and it's a great opportunity for Dallas. The Cowboys got it together enough and the Eagles fell apart, and the Cowboys took advantage of that. And home field is huge for the Cowboys. This is their best opportunity to go on a deep playoff run, to get at least to the NFC Championship game and see how they match up against the Niners, who have their number. But this isn't going to be your typical 2-7 matchup. I think this is going to be hard fought. I think this one comes down to the wire. Jordan Love is balling out right now. 18 touchdowns and just 1 pick since week 11. Those are amazing. Those are incredible numbers. And Aaron Jones is one of the best running backs in the game right now. Feed him. He's a difference maker. And the Packers should be getting Christian Watson back. You got Jaden Reed and Dontavian Wicks, the 2 rookies have been getting it done. I think, Musgrave is coming back, right? The tight end. So they're going to be relatively healthy. Now, Jair Alexander has an ankle. We'll see about him.
He rolled his ankle stepping on someone's foot today.
So I think this is going to be a shootout. I think it will be. I think this could be like 42-38 type of football. I think the Cowboys are the better team, and they do just enough to get the win. But Green Bay is not going to make it easy, and it's going to come. It's going to be hard fought. And Dak isn't exactly a world beater in the playoffs. He's 2-4. So he has some demons to exercise. He needs to squash that, take care of business here. I mean, if the Cowboys lose this game, a lot of people are saying that will be it for Mike McCarthy. You won the division, you got a home playoff game, you lose to Green Bay, that might be it for Mike McCarthy. And there's some people saying Bill Belichick to the Cowboys.
I mean, Green Bay coming to Dallas, and Green Bay has never lost at AT&T Stadium. Like they're undefeated there. So everyone jokes that it's Lambeau Field South, but I mean, they're going down there to play their old coach. Like he was there for 14 years, 13 years. The storylines this weekend are insane. Like the script writer is on point, nailed it this week. But I mean, Green Bay is so hot right now. And it's interesting too, because I feel like Dallas feels like it's Super Bowl or bust, which is a lot of pressure to put on yourselves. I mean, Green Bay has been in those situations. We were in those situations with Rodgers, and everyone saw on the big stage how the pressure got to them, and they lost early on in the postseason. And I'm kind of hoping that's how it plays out in this one. I mean, the Packers had no expectations, and they're young and just kind of having fun and seeing how things play out. I'm kind of hoping that the Cowboys are feeling the pressure and taking themselves too seriously, because nobody on that Packers team thinks this is their last shot to win a Super Bowl. So I'm hoping they're just young and having fun and pull off a win. I am taking the Cowboys to win because I think that's more likely, but I will be rooting against my pick until I'm blue in the face, which won't be hard because I can barely breathe right now. But I mean, the Packers have had some issues on the road against, non-divisional opponents. I mean, they're 1-5 on the road this year. Like, their only win came against the Panthers, and it was a last second field goal. Like, it wasn't like we beat up on the worst team in the NFL. Like, so the Packers are a weird team this season. We have heated up at the right time.
Yeah.
But I mean, if we can keep Dak in the pocket and maybe get some key picks there, there's a chance. But I'm gonna take the Cowboys to win, hope it's close, and hope the Packers pull off an upset because that would be insane.
Yeah, and if the Packers win, I'm going to give you so much shit for picking against your beloved team. But you want to get the pick right, so I get
Yeah.
it.
Listen, who I
Um,
want to win and who I think will win are rarely ever the same. So far this week, I'm up until this pick, like, yeah, I'm gonna root for the Browns. I probably will root against the Chiefs just because I've had enough of the media narratives about that team this season. And I think we've all kind of seen enough of the Chiefs in the Super Bowl at this point. So knock them out the sooner the better. My husband's a Broncos fan, so it'll be nice to, have him shut up about having to see the Chiefs again. But I'm definitely not rooting for my pick this week, and I think that's fair. Like rooting for
well,
the underdog and thinking the underdog will pull it off are very different things.
well, and I understand. I mean, even with that 11 game lead, you're nervous, and so you
Mhm.
want to get the picks right. You don't want Alex to blow you out in these playoffs. So I get it. So I understand what's going with the Cowboys.
It ain't you I'm scared of. It's Joe Barry.
Yeah,
Ugh.
and that's the thing is that Green Bay is very capable of putting up points in this match,
Mhm.
but will it be enough? And can their defense hold the Cowboys offense down? And I don't think so. So
Yeah.
that's why I think 42 to 38, 38-34 type of game. I'm going to go Cowboys by 4 in a shootout. I really think so. And we'll see if the Cowboys can win it comfortably by 2 touchdowns or something. That's what they want to do. That's what they expect to do. I just don't think Green Bay is going to let them. And the key for Dallas is don't turn the ball over early. Don't have a stupid interception or something like that. Allow Green Bay to get up 10-0 on you. Because then if that happens and the pressure is felt, that's when the Cowboys could come unraveling. So a hot start, getting out to an early lead is important for the Cowboys.
Yeah. I mean, if they can get Micah Parsons involved on the phone,
Yeah.
it's going to be a challenge for Green
DeMarcus
Bay.
Lawrence, Deron Bland jumping routes.
Yeah.
That's what you need. Um, and so it's a big test for Jordan Love. Jordan Love has proven himself in the regular season this year. This is his playoff debut on the road against a very good defense, very good team to prove it time here too. So excited for this matchup. Damn, we agree on 4 straight.
Did you think I was going to pick the Packers?
I was hoping.
I mean,
Um,
I want them to win. I don't think they will. And I will absolutely come on here and eat my words if they do. I will be surprised. As I think, I mean, the Packers have like a 20% chance of winning this game from what I've seen. Like it's a fun matchup. It's interesting. I mean, if it was right after McCarthy left and we still had the same team, I would say that, oh, that's their old coach. They know how he plays and
well,
he coaches. But
Aaron
like,
Rodgers, that's a game
yeah,
changer.
I would be way more confident. But like these youngins don't know McCarthy. Like our team is a bunch of babies. And I'm glad they're
Yeah.
having fun. I'm glad they're having as much success as they are. But experience tends to take over in the postseason. So
Yeah, and it's been a great story, a great run for Green Bay. And I think we all, even though the Packers overachieved and made the playoffs, it's about matchups, right? I just
yeah.
think this is a bad matchup. The Cowboys are so good at home, so they
Yeah,
should get this one.
unfortunately, Packers at Lions, that would have been an easy Packers pick for me.
Yeah, I mean, I would have been right there with you. And speaking of the Lions, I mean, and Lions fans are going to they've been calling me a hater all year. And Lions fans in our group that I know are actively rooting for me to pick against them because they think that's a good luck thing. They're like, keep hating. We feed off that energy. So I'm going to oblige them. Like, but the atmosphere here is going to be insane. Detroit hosting
Yeah.
their first playoff game since 1991. Ford Field's first playoff game, and the city's going to be lit. Detroit, if they win that game, that'll be their Super Bowl, honestly. Like, the city of Detroit is going to be like Wrigleyville when the Cubs won the World Series. Like, Detroit's going to go
I
nuts.
have you seen that they're like trying to ban people from wearing Detroit Lions Matt Stafford jerseys?
Oh, there's going to be a lot of those.
It's so
And
funny.
this is the conundrum, is
Mhm.
that Lions fans still love Matthew Stafford.
Just not this day.
They're going to end up hating Matthew Stafford. It's going to turn like on a dime. They're going to be hating Stafford after this game. I'm predicting it.
So I always thought he was, fine. Like as a Packers fan, like you don't care about your, younger siblings in the division. Like, ooh, the Bears won the division one time. Like no one cares. Like Packers fans were never concerned about the other teams in the division. But Matt Stafford earned my respect. I mean, he showed up for that team and was successful, and he had a ton going on in his personal life. And I know it's not every day that you hear some of the storylines. Like he and his wife had a baby through IVF. They were told they couldn't get pregnant while she was recovering from IVF, had a surprise natural pregnancy with twins.
Hmm.
Like it was a whole thing. She had a brain tumor and he pulled off a Super Bowl win the following year. Like that guy deserved that Super Bowl just for his family, honestly. And it's weird to like root for someone for what's going on in their personal lives because you're not really supposed to know all of that, but he's on such a big stage, like you hear all these things. Like he's a dad of 4 little girls, and he has been able to stay focused on the game and dedicate so much of his effort and energy to his teams. Like I am so glad he won a Super Bowl. And I know Detroit fans feel the same way. Like it's hard not to root for the guy. This might be the one day that they're not. But what's funny to me is the Lions are hosting their first playoff game in over 3 decades. All anyone can talk about is Matt Stafford and the
Yeah,
Rams.
coming back, right?
Like it's not
The
about like,
narrative
oh
is
my God, we
shifted.
did it. We won the division. No,
Yeah,
it's oh, Matt Stafford's coming back, which is so funny because, you know, of course someone is stealing their thunder and it's their old quarterback. That's the most Detroit football thing I've ever heard.
and it's interesting because it's Stafford versus Goff, and they were traded head up, straight
Mhm.
up to each other.
Like we
So
wanted this matchup in the postseason. This is
yeah,
perfect.
and
Like,
Goff going up against Sean McVay, and McVay did
mhm.
talked a lot of shit. McVay did not like Goff at the end of that.
Yeah, I mean, there's no one on the planet who understands Goff's weaknesses more than McVay.
Yeah, and you know, it's crazy. It's gonna be a great matchup, and the Rams are playing good football right now too. You
Yeah.
know, and you've got Cooper Kupp, Puka Nakua, you've got Kyron Williams is running the cover off the ball right now. He's playing great, and it comes down to trust. And I trust Matthew Stafford in this playoff game. He's been there before. He's going back to Ford Field. You know Stafford wants to go back into Ford Field and put on an absolute show, right?
I mean, this is his first playoff game in Detroit. He's been wanting to have
Since
a playoff game in Detroit for years.
oh
So
yeah,
he's
yeah,
gonna,
it's true. He never played at home. He was
mhm.
0-3 in the playoffs with the Lions. So yeah, it's Ford Field's debut, but it's also Stafford's debut in Ford Field in the playoffs.
Yeah, 12
Um,
seasons. I mean, this is what
I just
he
think,
wanted every year, and he finally gets it just on a different team.
and it's going to be all hands on deck, right? I think we all think this is going to be a hard fought matchup. If you ask any Lions fan, they're going to tell you this is going to be a hard game.
Mm.
This is going to be close because Stafford's going to bring it, and the Rams are playing good football. And what did we talk about last week? About how me and you thought it was dangerous for the Lions to be playing their starters in
Yep.
Week 18. And
But
now you've got Sam Laporta coming off an injury. He might play,
yeah.
but he's not going to be 100% with that knee. And Khalif Raymond is unlikely to play. So you're going to be without Khalif Raymond. So now they can probably overcome that. But Sam Laporta is a huge part of their offense. If he's not 100%, that's something. And all hands on deck, right? Any weaknesses here might come into factor. And I just think I anticipate Stafford Kyron Williams, Cooper Kupp, and the Rams, Sean McVay, most of all, to have the game plan ready. And I think the Rams go into Detroit and steal this win. I really do.
So do I. I mean, I would love to see the Lions get their first playoff win since '92, but I mean, as we saw on Thanksgiving versus the Packers, they can't stop the pass. We've seen that many weeks since. And with the way Stafford is connecting with those receivers, I mean, we've talked about how Stafford has helped receivers break records over the years. Multiple different receivers have broken many different records with Stafford as their quarterback. One thing that guy can do is put up some big numbers with those receivers. And Detroit's defense, that's their weakness. And, you know, as much faith as I've had in the Lions over the season, I've loved Jahmyr Gibbs. Sam Laporta is my kid, man. Like I wanted them to start him in that game because he was one touchdown
And then get
shy.
him the hell out.
Yeah, let him break the record and then remove him from the game. Like, was it Puka who they played one quarter to hit a record and then pulled out? Yeah, like cool. Records are fun, and then get your guy out of the game. Like, don't risk one of your key offensive players in a game that doesn't really matter, and then risk an injury like that. It pisses me off so much when they just sacrifice people like that.
And that's where Dan Campbell's aggressiveness comes into play. I mean, he was playing starters into the fourth quarter of that game. And, and I also think I have a feeling that Dan Campbell's aggressiveness is going to hurt him again here. I think he's going to do something in this playoff game to hurt his team's chances, whether it's going for it on fourth down, right, and not taking a field goal and leaving points off the board here with a turnover on downs or a fake punt, something that's going to hurt his team. And then who do we trust more, right? Stafford against Goff. Who's going to turn the ball over?
Yeah.
We've seen it from Goff a lot more recently than we have from Stafford, and when Goff has a bad game, he has a bad game. And Stafford's more even keel at this point in his career. So, it comes down to who do I trust, right? McVay versus Dan Campbell, McVay. Stafford versus Goff, Stafford. And those are the two most important. And we can't exactly say that we trust the Lions defense either. I mean, they've allowed Nick Mullins to go up and down the field on that defense.
Well, over the past 3 games, that defense has allowed 407 total yards per game.
Yeah.
4th most in the league.
And the Rams are very capable of that. They might go for 500.
Yeah. So, I mean, you have the injuries on top of that. I mean, the Rams offense is 7th in the league.
Yeah.
They're averaging 359 total yards per game. I mean, it's going to be 450, 475, 500 easy if that defense doesn't step up. And, when we see Matt Stafford, when he's in sync with Puka and everyone's in that game, like when Kyron Williams, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, and Stafford have all been in a game. There's only been 8 games this season where all 4 of them have played. Stafford's thrown 18 touchdown passes to just 3 interceptions in those games. They've averaged 28.5 points in those games. They've gone 6-2. They're all healthy. They're all playing.
Yeah. He's very capable of it. And so, I mean, it comes down to trust factor for me in every single playoff game I pick. And I'm going with, the Rams here. This is perfectly set up for an upset. And a lot of people are saying they're surprised the Rams aren't favored here.
Me too, actually. The Lions have never won in the wild card round. And as much as the city wishes that's going to happen, I don't see that drought ending. I was surprised that Detroit was favored in this one.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun regardless. Sunday night is going to be on NBC primetime, and it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. But Lions fans are hoping, they're optimistic. They got the weapons. You got Amon-Ra, you got Goff, you got Gibbs and Montgomery, Josh Reynolds, but is it enough? And I don't know that it is. And then Aaron Donald, you never know when Aaron Donald might make an appearance, right? And that's going to be key. Who steps up and makes a big play or two? Aaron Donald or Aiden Hutchinson?
Yeah, that's true.
Because a strip sack fumble could do a lot.
It could. I mean, one defensive score in this game.
Yeah.
Can shift things over. And this is one of those games, I think I'm pulling for Detroit in this one. And the Rams were just there. Like they just got that Super Bowl win. They're good. Detroit could use some positive. Like how many times over the years us as Packers and Bears fans like God hates Detroit. Like, pretty pretty still that kind of still holds. So,
You always
I hope Detroit pulls this off. I'll probably be rooting for them during the game. I don't have faith in them doing it though, so I'm gonna stick with my Rams pick here.
Yeah, I always hate that too. You always hedge your bets where you pick one team, but then you root for the other. Me, I'm all emotion. I pick the team, and then I'm like, you better not fucking lose.
Yeah.
So it always,
I think that's why I had an 11 game lead because
no.
I do have my emotions. Like I'll ask people like, "Oh, who you're rooting for in this game?" And they're like, "Oh, it's not my team. I don't care." And I'm like, "What?" I will pick a team in any game and like lose my shit over the game. Like I will be fully invested. Do I care? No. Have I ever been to this high school football game before? Like, no, I don't care. But I will pick somebody and be fully invested. So, um, but when it comes to making decisions, I'm pretty objective. So yeah, I do like to hedge my bets though. I mean, I picked against the Packers a few times this season and then actively rooted against them, but then I was happy when I was wrong. So
I'm gonna tell Josh that you picked against the Packers. He's not gonna like that.
it was just that one game.
And then Monday night, every single matchup this week is a lot of fun. Is really good. I think the only one that might be a runaway is Bills Steelers. Besides that, great matchups across the board. And another one here on Monday night, the Eagles at the Bucks, and complete opposites, where the Eagles have lost 5 of their last 6. Tampa Bay's won 5 of their last 6. But I know that 9-0 win over Carolina and that loss to the Saints has you a little bit worried about your boys in Tampa.
I do. So that is just ugly. Like, and I know we have seen Tampa Bay, they play to the level their opponent is playing. Like, oh, we're playing Carolina. We can win with 3 field goals. Cool, let's do it. Like, but that was an opportunity to put up 45 points. Like, you should have come and hit on all cylinders and just completely blown them out.
Well,
And
even more so the week before when they could have really put the division away
Mhm.
against the Saints, at home, and they get beat. That was really shocking to me too.
So, yeah, they're 4 out of 5 in the last month, but I just think this game is going to be ugly. I think it's going to be one of those so ugly it's entertaining kind of games. I
I
mean,
do too.
the Eagles are at rock bottom right now. Like, the, I don't know what happened to their pass rush. It's missing. I don't know what happened.
The
Like that was
secondary
their secondary is
across the
awful.
board, their linebackers, like the defense is terrible. And I
Hurts is
love it.
injured. Their run game
Yeah,
has been garbage. I
yeah.
mean, if Baker Mayfield's O-line holds and he doesn't take any more hits, I don't think he can afford any more hits. I mean, he's got the rib injury, a bum ankle. Like he had a rough week last week. He only averaged 4.3 yards per attempt. But if he can, hit Mike Evans, they're going to run away with this game.
Yeah.
If the Eagles keep playing like they've been playing, like I just it's going to be so messy. Like I don't see a lot of like epic plays coming out of this game. If Baker Mayfield was healthy, sure. But like he's gonna take 1 or 2 hits, limp off the field again. Like I'm really disappointed that this is the matchup we're getting between these two teams. Like if we had the Eagles firing on all cylinders and Tampa Bay red hot, like the Bills are right now, like playing really well, coming off the season with some great dominant wins, I would be stoked about this matchup. But man,
Well, the issue there is that we'd be taking. I think everyone would be taking Philly if the Eagles were
yeah.
hitting all cylinders, and that's where the Bucks are lucky and happy that the Eagles are coming in playing as bad as they are. But this is also an opportunity for Philly where you see it with some teams. We saw it with Buffalo when they lost to Denver, right? When they fell to 5-5, and they hit rock bottom. And sometimes you need to hit rock bottom to pick yourself up and start going right back up. And you can get some positive momentum. And I think last week could have been rock bottom for Philly. And if they can find a way to scrap together an ugly win here, they have the talent to bounce back up and they could scrap together 2 wins and find themselves back in the NFC Championship game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Well, I know that we have seen some good rushing out of them. I mean, they've got Gainwell, they've got Boston Scott, Jalen Hurts will
and
have some good rushing
Jalen
games.
Hurts, yeah.
Yeah.
Devontae, not Devontae, but what's his name? DeAndre Swift.
Yeah, Swift in there too. I mean,
Yeah.
they're 5-1 when they rush for 140 yards or more this season. So if they can get that ground game going, they should be able to hang on here. And we know the Eagles have more talent than they've shown lately. The issue is right now that injured finger for Hurts. I mean, a week off for an injured ankle and some bruised ribs is a lot of time. For a finger that you just dislocated, a week isn't as much of a difference.
Throwing hand, too.
Mm-hmm. He just said it popped out. Like, ugh.
It was disgusting.
Yeah, no,
Like
thank
someone
you.
who's messed up his finger playing basketball, I can't look at that shit anymore. It's
Yeah.
fucking gross. But
So I'm gonna roll with Tampa Bay here, but expect it just to be a train wreck. I hope both teams show up here, and play better than we've seen the past few weeks. But I'm glad this is Monday Night Football and not primetime Sunday, you know?
you got me thinking now because I'm
We
frustrated.
can't be 6 for 6, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I'm
I told
frustrated
you,
that
I thought
we're
we would
going,
pick the same games I
but
told you.
but I won't allow that. So be ready for a wild card here. I'm going Tampa Bay here.
All right.
Um,
You're gonna switch to
yeah,
Detroit? Do
there's
it.
no way. Yeah, right.
Switch to Detroit.
There's no way that I can pick the Eagles based on how they've played their last
Yeah.
6 games. There's no way. They have to prove it to me first.
Yeah,
The
like I
Bucks
have
are.
I have more questions about their communications with their coach and the animosity I've seen on the sidelines. Like, what is going on with Sirianni and that team? Like,
Sirianni's not leading, and
no.
Patricia was a bad move, and that's on Sirianni too.
Mhm.
It's all going back to Sirianni. And AJ Brown had a players only meeting where he said we have to start listening to our coaches. So it's well known. It's being said out loud in Philly that they don't trust their coaches right now.
I mean, kudos to AJ Brown for trying to like cut through
He's a
the
veteran.
drama and
Yeah,
stuff, but
yeah,
I mean, if people don't trust their coach, they don't trust their coach.
yeah. It's bad, and I don't. I think I agree with you. I think the Bucks can do just enough to get the win here. And even if Philly does, I don't expect them to go on a run. Like they're bad. They're playing bad football. Jalen Hurts needs to put the team on his back, Josh Allen style,
Yep.
and throw for 2 or 3 and run for 2. And I don't know that he can, especially with a hurt throwing hand. So I got to go Bucks here in a hard fought, lower scoring type of game, maybe a 19-17, something like that. I
Okay.
think the Bucks could pull it off. And I'm rooting for Tampa Bay and Baker here. I would love to see Baker
Me too.
get a big playoff win and lead like a late clutch game winning drive, right? That'd be fun.
Yeah, I want that for Baker. I feel like he's earned it. He has put a
Hmm.
lot of his heart and soul into the teams he's played for. And this is the first time a team has kind of reciprocated that effort that he's put into it. And he's a he's a guy who doesn't seem to listen to a lot of the noise. Like we saw that interview Dak Prescott did earlier this season where he's finally being seen as who he is. Like he could have the same numbers as Jalen Hurts 2 years ago, and people are still talking shit about him and praising Jalen Hurts. Like, and I'm glad he's getting props for what he's done. But that interview where he talked about like I just don't listen to what anyone has to say.
Hmm.
Now that they're saying positive things, it still doesn't affect me. Like I just keep my nose to the grindstone and focus on what I'm doing. Um, Tampa Bay has really given Baker Mayfield a chance to do that as well. And I think he's taken advantage of that. And I just respect the hell out of players like that who have gotten a lot of animosity from the media and had a lot of those negative narratives. So
Since
I hope
day
he listens.
one, as a rookie, remember he goes on the Colin Cowherd show, and Colin's just going at him, saying, you're not a leader, showing the video of him running from the cops in college, and Baker's taking a lot of heat from the media, and that's what I like about him is he's got that swag on the field. He's confident in his abilities, and he's mentally tough where he doesn't allow that stuff to get to him. And he didn't go into Tampa Bay with any ego. He was in a quarterback competition with Kyle Trask, won that. And I said it when it happened. I thought that this is a really good fit for Baker. There's weapons all over the field. And so he's fun to root for. And so I got Tampa Bay in this one as well, but hard fought. And I can't wait for that game. It's going to be a great end to the weekend. But I got to go up here and make an adjustment. And I think you know where I'm going, but I'm going to throw you for a loop
You're gonna
here.
pick the Packers?
I was thinking about it strongly, but
That was the only game I didn't like look at the matchups and like outright pick. Like
yeah,
all the other ones I was like, oh, I just immediately picked. That one I've kind of like wavered on a bit. So
there's one team and one matchup that I find myself rooting for, and I'm rooting for both teams here.
the Texans.
I'm thinking the Texans. I'm thinking give me the Texans at home. Imagine I'm going to be tweeting in all caps if CJ Stroud is going at this number one defense.
So I would love for CJ Stroud to have a win after his season. That's an amazing rookie season. But
Yeah,
I want Flacco to go out
me
on
too.
top more. Like it's insane the amount of like Deshaun Watson, 230 million guaranteed. He's not even playing. Flacco was getting 75,000 per win. Like they got him at a steal. I mean, Flacco is backo. Like we need Hugh Jackson back on here with his shirt.
Yeah.
Like I can't not root for Flacco in this situation. CJ Stroud has time. Like I love him. I love the season the Texans have put together. They've done amazing things with their young talent. But I mean, Flacco is at the end of his career, and we saw. I mean, that Super Bowl win, the blackout win against the 49ers when they won it for Ray Lewis.
Yeah,
Like
it was so cool. Yeah,
it's a great way to end a great career, and I would love to see Flacco's career end the same way.
Me too. I mean, it would be Peyton Manning-esque. It would be John Elway-esque. To go on a deep run, and potentially go hoist the Lombardi, win a championship. That'd be so cool. And we always say defense wins championships. That's why I'm leaning Browns for sure. In Houston,
I could see an upset there.
yeah. And from all that I've seen from CJ Stroud, I was rooting for him against the Colts last weekend, and that was a lot of fun, and he played very well. I'm rooting for DeMeco Ryans. And going back to CJ Stroud against Georgia in the playoffs was a lot of fun. So I think I'm going to go Texans here just to spite you. That's the only reason I'm doing it.
Well,
and I need to get
we can't be
W.
6 for 6. Like there's
Exactly.
Yeah. And I would be fine with the Texans winning if it wasn't, the end of Flacco's career. Like I want that for him,
And this is one of those where I'm not emotional about it. I'll be happy either way, to be honest. Yeah.
I think I'll be a little bummed for Flacco, actually, but
Yeah.
I will be happy for CJ.
And could potentially, CJ Stroud versus Mahomes in the divisional round. That would be so cool.
No Mahomes.
No, it'd be, let's see, Bills. No, it'd be CJ Stroud against the Ravens. If the Bills and Chiefs win. And I really want to see Browns Ravens.
Me too.
But every year there's
that's
game.
The storyline you want, Flacco versus his old team. And every year it doesn't go according to plan. However,
there's always one game.
The script writers have been on point with the storylines this season.
Those don't exist. We got lucky to get this well. And you're 100% right. Every year there's one game where it doesn't allow the perfect storyline.
I know. And I think we're going to miss out on that one, but that would be fantastic. And, the best storyline this season for the Super Bowl, if we're going just for like great storylines, would be Browns Lions. That matchup would be insane. The history, the, comebacks, the adversity those teams have faced to get there, like that would be the ideal matchup of these teams.
It would be, but you have to be somewhat realistic. I can get
Well,
behind the Browns, but let's not talk about the Lions in the Super Bowl.
I'm not saying it's gonna happen. Okay, sorry, my bad, my bad.
I'm
Browns
gonna start
Packers,
calling you
Browns
Chris
Packers, my bad.
Sims.
Okay.
You're Chris Sims from now
Oh, no, no, no. I didn't say it would
on.
happen. I just said if we were just going for storylines.
Yeah, no, I agree. That would be the best storyline.
Or
But,
Browns Packers, the youngest
but,
team in NFL history.
or Browns Bears. I mean, let's get crazy.
They're are they in the postseason?
Well, they should be.
No, they shouldn't.
Well, if they had a coach, if they hired Jim Harbaugh, they would be.
No. Listen,
But
so earlier in the season, guys, Alex said he's been talking about stealing Harbaugh from Michigan
yeah,
for ages. And he said, listen, what if I promised you Michigan would win the Natty and then Harbaugh comes to Chicago? And I said, I'm not agreeing to that. I was tempted, but I didn't agree to it, and Michigan still won the Natty. Still, if Harbaugh goes to Chicago, Alex stole some of my witchcraftery magic and summoned the Michigan win. So
well, if the Bears had any sense at all, they would hire Harbaugh. But they're bringing Matt Eberflus of all people
how
back
do you get rid of everyone but the Flus? Like,
because Ryan Poles is the GM, and that was his decision to hire Eberflus. And Bears ownership was also played a part in the decision to hire Eberflus. And Bears ownership is notoriously cheap,
yeah,
and they don't want to spend the money to hire Harbaugh. And I hate it here. And I'm depending on where Harbaugh goes, depending on what happens to Justin Fields, I might be a free agent this offseason as far as
yeah.
rooting
I've
for teams.
I have seen a lot of like lifelong fans vacate their Chicago fandom just because it's so hard to be a Bears fan when year after year it's the same thing. We're gonna draft a quarterback, completely abuse them, blame everything on them.
Yep.
The same stupid decisions, get rid of the quarterback. There's no developing, there's no building, there's no like something we've seen, Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers to Jordan Love. The Packers draft somebody they think has potential, and they put years of effort into that. Did I think Jordan Love was going to be as good as he is? And the Packers were going to luck into another potential like Hall of Fame, maybe at some point, quarterback with the numbers he's put up? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
We were spoiled going from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers. But one thing you see is the Packers have the guy sit for multiple years and learn and train and then work into it. And the Bears just could not give two shits about putting any effort into the quarterbacks they draft. And it's a shame because there
Yeah.
has been a lot of talent kind of turnstile into Chicago and back out and just be wasted there.
They do it to themselves, and they set these quarterbacks up for failure. And we know look at Michigan. How do you win football, even in 2023, 2024? It's through the trenches. You dominate the trenches like Michigan did against Washington. Washington had all the skill players. They had Michael Penix. They had Dylan Johnson. They had the receivers. And the trenches won Michigan that game. And that's how you win football. Look at the Lions, where they've come, and it's because they win the trenches. And the Browns and the Ravens, you win the trenches. The Niners,
Yeah.
and so it's common sense football, but not everyone understands that. The Bears are cheap, and they've. How as a fan, do you remain loyal to an organization when you see all the signs repeatedly over and over again of we're just happy to be okay. We're just happy to be decent. We're happy to be competitive. We're not trying to win championships. We're not making the moves to try to win championships. And if that's the case, what are you supporting? And credit to Jordan Love, though, because I blame Green Bay for not bringing in veteran receivers.
Mm-hmm.
They're so young at the receiver position. And I thought if Jordan Love's going to develop, I thought he was going to struggle mightily this year because he's throwing to rookies and second-year guys.
Oh, you
And
and I both talked about, AJ Brown was available
yeah,
last year. Like, they
keep
could have,
Devontae, bring in
yeah, somebody just kind of trade in those young receivers. Jordan Love has made a lot out of not a lot. Like Dontavian Wicks They pulled him up, and I was
Well,
like, who the hell is that?
great value too.
Bo Melton has
What?
been insanely good, and Jordan Love is connecting really well with these kind of no-name players, and I am honestly shocked that Green Bay has made it to the postseason. I kind of didn't
Yeah.
want them to, because now I have my feelings involved, and I can't just enjoy postseason football. Now I'm emotional about it, and I don't like feelings, guys. You see me cry on the podcast, it's the Packers' fault. So
If you cry on the podcast, it's because I'm gonna beat you by 11 games in the playoffs. That's what's gonna happen.
there's no way. You would
So
have to just go change all of your picks to opposite mine.
no. Oh
There's not that
yeah,
many games.
not if I win the Super Bowl, conference championships. There's a way.
Oh my
Trust
God.
the process, Amanda. So
Alex is done.
who is your pick to win the Super Bowl right now before the playoffs start? Who is your Super Bowl matchup, and who do you have winning it?
Let me pull up my
Yeah, I already know mine, and mine's pretty basic. Usually I go against the grain. This year I have a pretty good feeling.
Ravens.
Ravens over Niners.
Same. Well, that was who we picked, like, because as soon as the conversation went into, Brock Purdy for MVP, Lamar Jackson for MVP, Christian McCaffrey, like, it's always been them. It's been a rerun of the Colin Kaepernick Super Bowl that they lost, the Joe Flacco, the Ray Lewis. So it makes absolute sense that Joe Flacco came back this season. Like, it's
Yeah,
always been them.
yeah.
Is it basic and predictable? Yes. Do I think other teams can knock off either one of those teams? Probably not.
Potentially, potentially,
Maybe.
but injuries are going to
Mhm.
play a role. Because the Niners could have gone last year, and Purdy gets hurt.
Yeah,
Lamar Jackson, we've
that
seen him get
sucks.
hurt 2 years in a row. So knock
Yeah.
on wood that he stays healthy through the playoffs. Um, but that's the matchup we all want to see.
Mhm.
And I think the Ravens are ready to do something special. John Harbaugh's done it before. Lamar Jackson's playing the best football of his career. And, I'm damn near a Ravens fan at this point. Like, Roquan Smith was my favorite Bear, and he goes to the Ravens. It's hard for me not to root for the Ravens.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fair to have other teams that you pull for and you respect. Like, it's fine to have like an AFC team that you like. Like, mine was the Bills for a while. I've loved Josh Allen, but I've kind of like,
It still could be. The Bills are contenders this
yeah,
year, for real.
I've kind of followed Baker Mayfield too. So like I had a soft spot
Mhm.
for the Browns, and then Flacco came back. So like, yeah, for sure the Browns. And then like Baker Mayfield, like I don't care about anyone else on that Buccaneers team. Like Mike
Yeah,
Evans, whatever. Like, but Baker deserves some success and some accolades for what he's been able to pull off. So, I think it's fair if you want to be a Ravens fan. I think that's acceptable because Chicago has done nothing to try to keep its fans.
yeah. Fuck the Bears, and Lamar is balling, and he deserves MVP.
Mhm.
And I want to see him. And it's prove it time for Lamar. He's got a great defense. I want to see him. Step number one: go to a conference championship game.
Yep.
Win that. Step two: go to a Super Bowl. And if you can win that, Lamar Jackson will shut up a lot of people. If you go back to before he got drafted, I was one of the guys that questioned him whether he could develop into a franchise quarterback. And a lot of there was people saying he should switch positions and go to wide receiver. He's got a lot of people that he could tell to shut the hell up, and it'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, he's had a lot of doubters. And this season,
Yeah.
not that I have any issues with him, but up until about 3 weeks ago, I was really pulling for a non-quarterback MVP candidate. I wanted Christian
Mhm.
McCaffrey, Tyreek Hill.
Every year we do that. Yeah,
Yeah.
we
But
hope for
this
that.
year, I think up until Lamar went on that
Hmm.
beautiful streak. I mean,
Yeah,
he's absolutely earned it. He's a complete shoo-in at this point. But I
no
was
one
I
was
was pulling
running
for
away with
Tyreek.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
no quarterback was running away with it before
No.
Lamar or late.
But I absolutely like recant my statement. Like Christian McCaffrey's amazing, but I think Lamar deserves it at this point, and that team deserves a win. I
What
mean,
he did against San Francisco and Miami was just statement,
mhm.
and remember what he did against Detroit, right? Just obliterating the Lions earlier in the year. So it's going to be a fun playoffs. So you got the Ravens winning it too?
Mm-hmm.
All right,
I
good
was trying to
pick.
pull up my bracket to show you. I can't remember what day I made it. I took a screenshot
Yeah,
of it because I didn't want to
yeah,
just
I
like
got.
say it and have people be like, "Oh yeah, 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 sure, yeah, yeah, right."
Well, when you say it on the podcast, then it
There,
becomes legit.
there.
Yep,
See,
yep. Same with me. And but the Bills are very
that's from the
much
seventh
capable.
day. So this was 4 days ago.
Yep,
Yeah, I've got the Bills at Ravens in the championship.
that would be fun.
Yeah,
That'd be a lot of fun. And I
conference
got
champ, and
Cowboys
then
Niners. Who do you have NFC Championship? I got Cowboys Niners.
um,
Yeah, you got Packers in there.
no, 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 no. I did have the Packers beating the Cowboys, but like I
Yeah.
said, that was the only one I've been like wishy-washy on. I had the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at San Francisco and then getting their ass kicked by 40.
Yeah, if you can beat Philly, and
Mm-hmm.
then they're capable.
Yeah. I had Green Bay beating Dallas, the Rams beating Detroit, and then Tampa Bay beating the Eagles.
The Niners, I don't see how anybody in the NFC beats the Niners.
No.
I don't think anyone matches up with them.
Mm-mm.
Unless Philly gets really hot really quick. And even then, I'm still picking the Niners.
I mean,
If
like
healthy.
Green Bay goes to San Francisco, getting their like
Yeah.
demolished in the
Even
divisional round. Like,
Dallas, San Francisco is the most likely. And Dallas goes into San Francisco. I got the Niners big.
wouldn't
Niners
that
got
would
double
have to be in the
digits.
conference championship. That wouldn't be the divisional round.
Yeah, the 1-2. Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say
So,
because it would be whoever at Dallas for that
and
one.
yeah, Ravens tests are Buffalo,
Mhm.
Cleveland. Kansas City is the one team the Ravens don't want to play. And that's because Mahomes in the playoffs is capable of being special. But
Well,
I don't know if they'll have it this
I
year.
have in the divisional round the Ravens beating the Browns and the Bills beating the Chiefs.
Now, we all want to see Bills Chiefs again. We
Me
want
too.
to see that.
Yeah.
And that's a tough one. Kansas City could beat them again, but I'm rooting for Buffalo in that for sure.
I mean, it is the year to take down Kansas City if you're going to.
It is.
Because
Someone's going to.
they're not the same team. I mean, what have you said about
Whether
Matt Nagy?
whether it's the AFC, exactly. Whether it's in the AFC or in the Super Bowl, the Chiefs aren't winning it again this year. They're not winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I can say that with confidence. So, well, good shit as always. This was
Yeah.
a fun episode. I can't wait for the playoffs. Just 2 days away. And we'll have Pablo on. We've got a lot of player interviews on deck.
So many
So
great
stay
ones.
tuned for those.
Players,
And
coaches.
yeah,
We've got some great stuff coming up the pipeline in the next couple weeks, guys.
help us get those subscriber numbers to skyrocket during these playoffs. And next thing you know, you'll see us on NBC. So stay tuned for that. Have a great week, guys. Good shit as always, Amanda. And peace out.